One of the things that organic gardeners would not want in the garden, including myself, is toxic chemicals. Herbicide, pesticide, insecticide, fungicide. We want to create a friendly, healthful environment for our bee friends, pollinators, and even myself so that our veggies are safe to eat. So today I'm going to share with you some sprays that you can make at home to reduce your pest population using sprays. And these sprays were sent to me by Centurion. They're the sponsor of this video. Centurion focuses on making gardening tools that are affordable and durable so that you can create the garden that you want. Like me, I recently redesigned part of the garden. Now, look at the explosion in this bed. The truth is, it would have been a much harder job for me if I didn't have those tools. Okay, now let's talk about pests. These recipes are really simple. They're the ones I use in the garden if needed. So let's talk about the type of pest issue I have here. Fortunately, there's not a whole lot of pests in this garden, and I'll talk about why I think that is later. But usually the ones I would see around here would be mealybugs, a little bit of blight, powdery mildew. Right now there's a whole lot of cabbage butterflies. They're just sort of eating up my purple bok choy leaves here. It's got some holes around here. So generally speaking, I would not advise to start spraying your plants because that is producing, a type of stress for them if you're spraying something to deter or, help them kill off the bugs. You would only do that if you feel like it's really necessary. There's no other ways to help the plant. That's when I would go in with this spray. Otherwise, the first thing I would do is to cut off those damaged stems or leaves. Let's talk a little bit more about using water to kill off pests. Using the jet spray setting would help to remove those soft body, soft shell type of pests like mealybugs and aphids mostly, especially if the ones you find on like kale or cabbage type of plants in the center, there's like a bunch of them. Then you can just go in with the water spray. I also like to use different spray settings to help remove these pests. Now I only use sprays with this much pressure on plants that are not as fragile. I like to use a water hose nozzle to remove pests in a general area and on plants with tougher leaves. For those leftover spots that I can't get rid of, sometimes I just use my fingers, but you don't have to do that. You can just use a garden sprayer, which gives you more control anyway. And keep in mind that water would only be a temporary way to remove pests. It doesn't stop new from producing. Hosing them off once or twice a week usually does help to lessen the issue. If you want a stronger solution, keep on watching. Here I have the 1 gallon and 2 gallons. The 1 gallon, I mainly use it for pest issues, and the 2 gallons, I would just use it to spray, my VermisTerra worm casting teas all throughout the garden. Now let's talk a little bit about the safety of using these. These sprayers are not made just for gardeners. You can use it for, putting like house cleaning products or mild bleach type of solution and chemical solutions for disinfecting or whatever reasons you need to use like a sprayer for. But my point is, when you're going to refill the bottle, before you open it, make sure you release the pressure. Otherwise, depending on what you have in there, and mainly this would apply more like if you're using like chemicals type of solution, it can cause it to explode. But for me, I usually use this for water, soapy waters, or even like that eco-friendly type of like spray for wood. And back then I didn't even know you're supposed to release the pressure. So don't worry, nothing happened to me. Also, if you don't release the pressure, it's just really difficult to unscrew this. So remember to pull this trigger. That's a very satisfying sound. And then you can safely or easily unscrew this. What if I have a plant that has more delicate leaves that are very easy to get bruised? Then I would use something that's more gentle, like the sprayer here. So I'm just going to fill this up with some water. By the way, if you're curious, this is a spiral ginger. It's the variegated variety. It grows in a spiral. It's very, got things like velvety, fuzzy leaves like on the backside of the leaves. It's just so pretty. So yeah, this plant actually has a little bit of pests here. See how when the leaves are growing normally, it just opens flat like that. But the top leaves here, you can see some white spots here. They're eating away the plant tissue. Yeah, and they're like dotted black. The first thing to do is just to use water. And hopefully just by repeating this process whenever I see them, or at least once a week or so, see if it goes away. If not, then you'll step up the game. But with something like this, it's so fragile, I don't even want to attempt using any kind of formula. So this is a 1 gallon spray bottle. That's on lock. Okay, you see that? It's getting very difficult for me to push down. The pressure has really built up and this is ready to go. Turn it to lock. All right, let me just adjust it. There we go. I adjust it so the spray can be a little more spread out and really just flushing it off. You actually want to hose off the entire plant, especially because this is an indoor plant. Make sure I get the back side of it as well. Oh, there's a millibug. See that? It's right there. Okay, now I'm just gonna set it somewhere safe and allow it to dry off a little bit before I bring it back inside. So after using some water and you don't think that it works, the next step up I would use is some soap and water. This is an eco-friendly dish soap, but you can use any dish soap that you like. I would use 2 teaspoons of this per gallon of water. That usually helps to kill off mealybugs, aphids, whiteflies, just those soft bodies, soft shells sort of pests. If there's plant starts that are infested, I actually prefer to make the solution in a bucket and dip the plant in. Just be gentle and careful when you're doing this. But if there are plants that you cannot do this, you can also put the solution in a sprayer. You can use any sprayers, even a small one will do, but I just like to make a batch and take it out to use whenever I need to. Also, I just find it to be nice to have a sprayer with the trigger that you can lock down so I don't have to constantly press on it, especially when you're working with a lot of plants. This is really helpful. If you have issues with ants, you can also use some soap water, but to step it up, you can also put in some Peppermint Essential Oil. I like to use about 10 to 15 drops of that per gallon of water, and that smell helps to deter the ants, and also I think it's like that menthol spiciness really, like, I find that I kill them right away. Before using any sprays, I like to give it a mix by shaking it up. I actually forgot to shake the bottle before I pumped the sprayer. That's why you're seeing that these ants are still kind of walking around a little bit longer than usual, even after I spray them. Isn't it nice to have a long spraying wand so you don't have to reach so far? Yeah, you don't want ants in the garden. If you see them, it's usually a sign that they are either farming mealybugs, or there are mealybugs and so they come. If you find soapy water is not really helping, you can try neem oil. Neem oil is, I would say, if you use too much of it, you can actually burn your plants, but you know, with the right amount, it can really be helpful because it helps out with quite a wide spectrum of pests in the garden. So most things that you don't want in the garden would not like neem. In fact, neem would help to kill off those larvae, immature babies and eggs, you know, from these pests. And neem is actually from a plant. When you're getting neem, make sure you're getting neem oil that's cold pressed so that it still has those chemical compounds. Now I'm going to be making the mixture with neem oil. I've got tomatoes that have some powdery mildew, quite a lot in certain parts of the plant. So we're going to do a neem oil recipe. Here's the cold pressed neem oil. I'm going to do 1 ounce of neem oil in 1 gallon of water. Oh my God. Okay, this is roughly 1 ounce. Just going to use my fingers. Oh goodness. So I'm making a big batch of this. I can just pull it out and use it whenever needed. Oh my God, this is such a messy job. Right, next I'm gonna do 2 teaspoons of dish soap. 1, 2. The soap is going to help bind the oil and water together. Man, this oil solidified because it's still cold right now. I've never done this in the cold times. Neem oil actually solidifies at 59 degrees Fahrenheit. If this ever happens to yours, all you have to do is put it somewhere warm. It just requires 80 degrees Fahrenheit to start to liquefy.
Perfect.
Since I already poured the neem oil that's solidified in this bottle, another option is to soak this entire bottle in warm water to help melt it so I can give it a good mix before I start spraying those tomatoes. Ooh, and one more thing. Before you use it each time, make sure you shake the bottle well. It's pretty common to see powdery mildew start developing on your vegetables, especially during mid or late in the season during the summer, just because of the higher humidity at night. That's why I don't encourage you to water too late in the evening, as there is more moisture and less chance for evaporation. Any of the things that I'm talking about, by the way, is like a very non-toxic type of a method, so you would have to repeat this process like once a week or once every other week until the problem goes away. All right, let's fill this 2 gallons up. Now I'm showing you my preferred method to combat pests, and that is to be more proactive in this approach, to spray the leaves or into the soil to feed these plants these micronutrients, trace minerals, and microbes, so that these plants would have a stronger immunity to combat and actually to deter pests. This is the VermisTerra Worm Casting Tea and Vitality, in case you're wondering, and I like to apply this once every couple of weeks or once a month if possible. I can actually spray these air plants in my ashitaba. Sometimes I even like to lock the trigger so it can do the work for me. Isn't it nice to have a long spraying wand so you don't have to reach so far? Sometimes there are lazy days, and sometimes there are days when I want to purposely do things the hard way. When certain plants need a little bit of cleaning, like this hydrangea, I'd like to go in with like a jet spray style so I can clean it up while I'm feeding the plants. I even like to turn the tip of the spray upside down so I can get under those leaves. And then when I'm done, just want to show you guys. Watch out, this might spray a little bit. If you ever find that the nozzle is clogged, you can actually unscrew the cap and give it a nice scrub with a brush and maybe hose it out. My city water is actually quite hard. After using for a while, I'll notice some calcium deposits sitting on the nozzle, so I do need to give it a cleaning once in a while. The best time to be misting is early mornings and evenings, not during the hottest time of the day, not on a windy day, and if you are spraying something that has a more darker color, best to not wear white, and put on glasses if you have sensitive eyes. But yeah, I'm just going to continue and spray and mist away with my spraying wand. If you guys are interested in any of the garden sprays or the tools I've used, I'll link them down below for you. Thank you so much, you guys, for making this far in the video, and thank you to Centurion for sponsoring today's episode. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.